Hello everyone and welcome to this series of Expert Talks by newmomlife.com. Today we have a very special guest with us. She is the topmost gastrosurgeons in India and the only female gastrosurgeon in the Punjab region, Dr. Disha Syal. Dr. Disha is a gold medalist in her MBBS, MS in General Surgery, FIAGES, that's a flagship laparoscopic fellowship course by the Indian Association of Gastrointestinal Endosurgeons. She is FALS, which is a fellowship in advanced laparoscopic surgery, and also a DNB in surgical gastroenterology from New Delhi. At present, Dr. Syal is working as a senior consultant in gastrointestinal surgery at a super specialty hospital in Jalandhar. She has also worked as ex-consultant and senior resident in surgical gastroenterology. In this session, Dr. Syal explains us what exactly is gastrointestinal surgery, what is endoscopy, what is colonoscopy, what is laparoscopic surgery. She also takes up the very crucial topic of fatty liver, why it happens, how can it be prevented, and what treatments are available to cure it. Dr. Syal also elaborates the various gastrointestinal problems about bariatric surgery, the weight loss tips, and also recommends some of the most important lifestyle changes for the best gastro health. Not only this, Dr. Syal also tells us what challenges she faced while taking up this field and breaking the then societal norms, how her family stood up for her, and how she managed everything. So let's get to interact with Dr. Disha Syal. So, hello ma'am, and welcome to this series of Expert Talks by newmomlife.com.
Hi Gitika, how are you doing?
I am absolutely fine, ma'am. How are you?
I am great.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much first of all for accepting the invitation and connecting with us and giving us your precious time. It is really difficult.
I think pleasure is all mine. Like it's been such a beautiful effort. Like I went through your videos and all, and it's really inspiring to see that you are making such a beautiful video and uploading it. It's really nice for women. I think it really deserves an appraisal. Really nice.
Wow, thank you so much. That has made my day, and that's a very nice encouragement from your side that will make me keep going, right?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, before beginning with the session, I would like to mention that I will be recording it and uploading it on the YouTube channel and the website that we manage. So are you fine with it?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Okay, no great. So, ma'am, first of all, please tell us, that is one of the most important questions and the common questions, that what exactly is gastrointestinal surgery?
See, basically, gastrointestinal surgery is like diseases involving the gastrointestinal tract. Like it includes liver, pancreas, gallbladder, intestine. So it includes liver, pancreas, as well as the GI. So together they form the gastrointestinal tract and the hepatobiliary tract. So all the diseases which are in relation to our digestion and the main organs, we deal with that. So that comes under the category of gastrointestinal diseases.
Okay, great. So, ma'am, as you are also the only women gastrointestinal surgeon in the whole Punjab region, so I mean, hats off to you and congratulations for that, first of all. So, why did you basically chose this field, and how was your journey?
See, actually, it is basically passion, like when I was doing my MBBS, at that time I had interest for surgery, like general surgery initially.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we go through the general surgery training, like we get exposed to different kinds of branches, neurosurgery, gastrointestinal surgery, and so on. So when we were exposed to that GI surgery, so I developed a passion for it. And that's how I decided that I'll go for GI surgery. But definitely being the only GI surgeon in Punjab, it shows that there are very few females who really take up this branch because you know what, like I did my MS from Christian Medical College, Ludhiana, and I clearly remember the day when I got into my surgery, like they have this interview, like I was selected both for like eye department as well as surgery. So like they were telling me, why don't you go for eye instead of going for surgery? Because at that time, there were very few females who would take up surgery, even general surgery for that matter.
Yeah.
That is in 2001. And there was another colleague of mine. She also got into medicine and surgery. But then she was telling me, I'm not going to go in for surgery. I'll take up medicine. She was also very brilliant. But because of these problems that the females face, and
Yes.
like it's a male dominated branch, especially at
Yeah,
that time,
yeah,
in
yeah.
2001, isn't it?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
she would tell me, like, I'm going to opt for medicine. Why don't you go for the other one? And I said, no, I have passion for surgery. So,
Oh, wow.
that was my passion that made me
Wow,
decide
wow.
to take up surgery.
I think that must be really inspiring for young women who really aspire to be a surgeon. So that's a good take from your side.
Yeah, that makes a lot of difference because like when I was there as a surgeon,
Yes,
like I didn't see any female surgeon being around, isn't it?
yeah.
But when I was there, like so many girls, they took up surgery just because I was there. So it makes the life much easier when you see another female in the same branch, that it's
Yes.
no longer male dominated. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of difference.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so good to know. That's so really very inspiring, I think I must say. Okay, ma'am, one thing I would like to ask that family support must have been a very important part of your getting into surgery thing. So how your family or how in general you think that family helps in supporting the female surgeons?
See, family plays a very important role. Like what I am doing right now, it's not possible without any family support.
Yes,
Like the
yes.
first thing that they ask you, first of all, your parents,
Mhm.
are they willing that a girl takes up surgery and that to GI surgery, isn't
Yeah.
it? First, they agree. Like my parents fully supported me. Like they were
Yeah,
there throughout with me, my
wow.
brother, my bhabhi, like my parents, they were all there, right? So they never told me, oh, you don't take up surgery. Why don't you take up medicine? They were never like that. They said, you
Yeah.
follow your passion.
Yes.
So then I got married, and then it was my husband, my in-laws. Like I had kids also, isn't it? My son and my daughter are there. So they all supported me. Like nobody would say that, oh, mom is busy, so they can't manage. It was never like that. So my in-laws, they played a very big role, helping me take care of the kids.
Yes.
When they're, we have kind of division of labor in our family. So everybody takes care of small things. Like I'll take up the study part. My mother-in-law, she takes care of the food and other upbringing of the kids.
Wow.
Like my father-in-law, he'll see the transport of kids. So it is kind of division of labor. So we all
Wow.
work together for
Yeah.
upbringing of the kids.
Mm.
Otherwise, for a female GI surgeon who gets call even at late night, it's not possible without their support. My husband, like, is always there encouraging me, discussing cases, like the problems I face. He's always there to guide me. So
Yes.
it's all a combination and family support.
Wow, that's so nice to know, ma'am. And it's a beautiful answer from your side. Thank you so much for that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for answering it so well, I must say.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think without family support, it's not at all possible.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is very important,
Yes, ma'am,
especially this kind of
absolutely.
branch, which is very taxing. So if
Absolutely.
everybody is on the same page, it makes your life much easier.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. All right, ma'am. So now let's get to some of the informative part, right? So first,
Yeah.
ma'am, please tell us about what are endoscopy and colonoscopy.
See, endoscopy is like putting in a camera through your mouth, okay, or through
Okay.
your anal area, like to diagnose various kinds of diseases. Like some patients, they have this gas problem that is commonly
Yes.
called by a
Yes.
layperson, isn't it? So they have this ulcer, or they have some kind of bleeding disorder,
Yes.
or some cancer. So all these things, they can only be diagnosed with the help of a endoscopy or a colonoscopy. So
Okay.
what we do is we put in a camera through the mouth, and that is we take pictures and see what
Oh,
kind of problem the patient is suffering. So accordingly, we tend to advise treatment or surgery depending on the diagnosis, whether it's a cancer or it requires just a medical management. So
Yes.
endoscopy plays a very important role in diagnosing GI diseases.
Okay. And ma'am, today the problem of fatty liver is quite common and it's quite persistent. Every day we hear about this kind of a problem. So what exactly is fatty liver and what are the causes and symptoms for a fatty liver?
See, fatty liver is basically when the fat cells, they tend to get accumulated in the liver. So what happens is over a period of time, these fats, they tend to
Yes.
start destroying the liver cells. They
Okay.
cause swelling of the liver, and even this fat, it can be so devastating for the liver that it can cause destruction and irreversible changes within the liver itself. Like the liver
Yes.
gets damaged and patients tend to develop jaundice, fluid in the abdomen. So a lot of problems they arise because the liver goes in failure just because of accumulation of fat.
Fats,
So
okay.
this entity, it is basically called NASH, like non-alcoholic steatohepatitis.
Okay.
Like normally we tend to see that liver disease is common in people who take alcohol.
Alcohol,
Like
yes,
that is
ma'am.
a separate that they also
Absolutely.
have this fatty liver.
Yes.
But
yes.
nowadays what is happening is people are developing NASH. NASH is non-alcoholic. Like it's basically because of deposition
Okay.
of fat.
Okay.
Taken care of, and the various, like, you know, the factors which are responsible, they include like patients who are obese, who have
Alright.
increased levels of cholesterol in the body,
Okay. Okay.
and then who don't exercise, eating lot of processed food,
Yes.
sedentary lifestyle. So
Yes.
all these factors, they aggravate NASH. And
Okay,
this has come up in such a big way that, like, routinely when we get a scan done, there would be very few people whom we see that the liver is normal. Like
Yes.
at least grade 1 fatty liver we see in so many patients. They just come for a normal scan and you will find that the patient has fatty liver, which can progress on to develop into chronic liver disease.
Yes.
So
yes.
it has to be taken very seriously. It is really creating a lot of problem these days.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Are there any kind of symptoms to look for? I mean, one can be sure of that.
See,
Yes,
basically,
this might be a
patients
problem.
they generally present with like dragging sensation in the right upper abdomen,
Okay.
or they have indigestion problems. But generally, it's
Okay.
more of discomfort, and they are obese, they have high cholesterol levels, or they are diabetics. So these
Okay,
are the
ma'am.
patients whom we suspect that they might be having fatty liver.
Okay. And ma'am, what
Earlier,
kind of yes. Yes, ma'am. Please, please, please.
Earlier, this entity was not at all known, like the fatty liver, because people were not very aware. But
Yes,
now
ma'am.
people are getting aware, and we are doing various tests also for this. Like fibroscan is there, so that
Okay.
tells us whether it is only fat or some advanced changes have taken place in the liver. So that is just a simple scan kind of thing, which tells us whether the fat that is there has caused so much damage to the liver that it has become irreversible, or is it just the beginning?
Okay.
So, like that can be diagnosed with the help of a fibroscan too.
Okay. And ma'am, what kind of treatments are generally followed to cure this kind of a disease?
See, basically, first of all, is like the healthy lifestyle that needs to be followed. Like
Yes.
we get their liver function tests, we get their cholesterol levels checked, we see their blood sugar levels, isn't it? So all these things, they need to be optimized. That is must for developing a normal liver.
Yes.
This is one of the commonest reason for developing a fatty liver. Second is exercise, and then eating a healthy diet. And then there is role of vitamin E is there.
Okay.
And there are some newer products that are also there, which I won't go into detail. But I think most important is the dietary modification and a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Great. So I think a healthy lifestyle, a proper diet, can help with these kind of diseases.
Yeah, because
Definitely.
people are not very aware. People are
Yes.
not at all aware. Like many females, they just come to us with they'll just say, I have dragging sensation in the abdomen. They tend to be obese. They're not bothered about their health. So women need to be really educated that there's an entity called fatty liver, which can even progress on to chronic liver disease, which was earlier seen only in males because they were taking alcohol. But why this disease is being seen in females is because of fat. So they need to take care of themselves. They need to exercise. They need to have a healthy lifestyle. So that is how they can prevent this liver disease.
Okay, great, ma'am. Great information from your side. That will definitely help many women and many people out there. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And ma'am, can you please tell us what are the common gastrointestinal problems that you have come across throughout your career till now?
See, the commonest is like in females, we see a lot of gallstones like fat, fertile, female, 40, fair. These are the commonest reasons like for developing a gallstone, or I would say it is more commonly seen in females, the gallbladder stone disease. So more females who are fair or 40 or, obese, so they tend to have gallstone. This is very common, like we see day to day. Then there are other diseases like appendix, intestinal problems. Even in females, we tend to see a lot of ulcerative colitis, which is like you have swelling of the large intestine, and the patients, they tend to have loose motions or they have bleeding. So these symptoms we very commonly see in females.
Okay.
And there's another entity which is called irritable bowel syndrome, like the
Yes, that
intestine that
IBS
gets
thing,
Yeah, IBS. So inflammatory bowel disease and IBS is very common in females, maybe because of stress and not proper intake of a good healthy diet or incomplete treatment or inadequate treatment and the stressful life these days. So all these add up to IBS.
And any preventive measures that you would like to guide us so as to prevent them?
See, more important is when you start off a treatment, like the treatment should be not that you just go to a chemist and get the medicine and then the treatment turns out to be incomplete. That should not be there, because then then the intestines, they never recover fully, and then the patient develops IBS. And they should take more of probiotics, like curd is a very good probiotic, and lot of fruits and a healthy diet. Processed foods, they should be avoided. Tea and coffee, isn't it? So bakery products, like these things, they should be avoided so as to have a healthy gut.
All right, ma'am. And are there any kind of GI problems that are more prevalent in women particularly?
Yeah, like see, one is ulcerative colitis, as I told you, like the ulcers which are there in the large intestine. That is quite common in females, and but that is in fact, but it is basically that you have to diagnose it early because it has chances of developing cancer in the long run. So we tend to see many females who come to us, but they just think that it's only loose stools. They don't realize that it is ulcerative colitis. So then there comes the role of colonoscopy that you were asking, that we put a camera through the rectum, through the lower portion of our intestine, and then we take a biopsy also, and we see how much damage is there in the large intestine. So accordingly, we advise the treatment. But then this is very important because you can prevent even cancer, and they are in such a debilitating state. They have low hemoglobin, they have diarrhea, and it is so painful also. But it's very common in females, like especially in the Punjab region, it is quite common.
Right. And ma'am, one thing I would also like to ask you, that are there any options particularly for obese people to reduce their weight?
See, first of all, we always advise like diet, like they have to follow a particular diet. It should be high protein, low fat, isn't it? And the second is exercise, right? And regarding the medicines, or we don't advocate that. Like they should follow a healthy lifestyle. It is very important that if they have a healthy mindset and a healthy body, then very little chances are there that they go into problems like NASH or any other diabetes. It's very important they follow a healthy lifestyle. That is the goal, because surgery is there, like bariatric surgery is there, but why to reach that stage that you will require bariatric surgery? Bariatric surgery is basically only for those people who tend to have very high weight and they have other problems like thyroid, diabetes, which gets uncontrolled. In spite of taking medicine, it's not benefiting them and it's affecting their lifestyle. So then bariatric surgery comes. But otherwise, it's good that we should try not to go into that range or that kind of treatment option. Better is to follow a healthy lifestyle so that we are prevented from getting any surgery done, or we don't advocate that. It should be a good healthy lifestyle.
Okay, and ma'am, like you have talked about bariatric surgery, can you please tell us what exactly is bariatric surgery?
Bariatric surgery is like, see, there are different types of bariatric surgery. One is that you remove a part of the stomach so that instead of being a bag, it becomes a sleeve kind of thing, like a narrow tube. So what happens is a patient will take just a small amount of food and the patient will have early satiety. The patient will feel full. So then the patient won't eat much. So they tend to, but this is not normal, you see. Like we should try that instead of going through so much that your part of your stomach is removed, why not adapt a better lifestyle in the first go only?
Absolutely, yes.
Isn't it? So only those people who cannot be benefited from basically like from these medicines or like diabetes, hypertension, thyroid, then nothing is helping. Then that they even can't go to an aircraft, like sit on a chair and they can't do their lifestyle activities on their own.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the people who are candidates for bariatric surgery, not in general, like just little overweight and you want to go for bariatric surgery. That should not be the goal.
All right, great to know that. And ma'am, one thing also, please tell us that what exactly is laparoscopic surgery? What are its advantages?
Okay. See, laparoscopic surgery is like, instead, like in earlier days, we used to like cut open the whole of the abdomen, okay, like from top to bottom. But nowadays, very small holes, they are made in the tummy, and through that, one of the holes we put in a camera, and then various instruments, like they're very small, 5 mm or 10 mm instruments, they go into the tummy. And that is how we approach. like the abdomen, various like gallbladder disease, appendix, intestinal problems. They are all being dealt laparoscopically. So what
Yes,
happens is after doing laparoscopic surgery, patient has huge benefit. First of all, the scar is very minimal, like especially in young girls, like you won't be even seeing the scar, isn't it? It will be so small, like 5 mm or 10 mm, instead
Yes,
of being
ma'am. Exactly.
single vertical large scar. It's a very small scar, and then they can resume their work very early because they won't be having much pain. Secondly, the long-term consequences like developing a hernia, falling surgery, that is minimized because the incision is very small. The surgical incision, that is the access, is very small. So the long-term consequences, the long-term side effects of surgery, they are also gone, and patient can resume his or her work early. They have
Yes.
less pain, and cosmetically, it's also better. So advanced
Okay.
laparoscopy, that has played a big, huge role. Like earlier,
Yes,
gallbladders
yes.
were done by open technique, but now everything is laparoscopic. So patient
Yes.
can go home the next day or even the same day. So that has helped a lot, like in patient outcome.
All right. All right, ma'am. So, after this vast resource of information, please tell us about what lifestyle changes you would recommend for the best gut health.
See, the best thing is, I would say that once you get up, like instead of having tea or coffee, try to have some nuts or a banana, and then
Exactly,
you
ma'am.
should do some kind of meditation or yoga, and then follow a particular exercise pattern. Like exercise is very important. Like either you go for jogging or cycling or
Yes,
walk, like
ma'am.
whatever is possible or whatever, depending on your potential,
Yes,
isn't it?
ma'am.
And then try to have small, frequent meals. Like instead of eating in one go, isn't it? You try to have small, frequent. Like we should eat at
Yes.
least 5 to 6 times in a day.
Okay.
Maybe that causes decrease in chances of developing hyperacidity and ulcer problems. So if you take 5 to 6 meals in a day, sometimes you can have fruit or a chapati or poha, various options. But it should be at least 5 to 6 times in a day, small, frequent meals.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
try to have early dinner, like before 7 or so, if
Okay.
possible.
Yes.
Because then the digestion is very good, and the lightest meal should be at the end of the day. Like your dinner
Yes.
should be the lightest. That is how we should follow our regime. Like that won't end up in having any GI problems if we follow
Okay,
this
ma'am.
kind of lifestyle.
Lifestyle. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much once again for accepting the invitation, connecting with us, and giving your such vast resource of information. I think
Thank
this
you
is.
so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think this is really going to help many out there who would actually be seeing this video. So thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for connecting, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.